Welcome to the Tea Huddle with Marisa and Kelly.
Your only source for gridiron gossip. If you can't get enough of the NFL,
and if you love knowing about who the players are dating,
then you found yourself in the right place.
Thanks for tuning in on our bye week. So we don't have a rundown from this week's games because we haven't watched them yet, but we still have an episode for you all.
And since we recorded this before the games, I am going to make some week 7 predictions.
So week 7 already happened.
You guys know what happened.
But we don't.
We don't know yet.
We're from the past.
From the past. But we have some ideas on what you guys know.
Yeah. Can't wait to check in and see if these are
Any of them are right. My first prediction is that the Patriots beat the Jaguars in London.
Go Pats.
And then the Jags coach Doug Peterson gets fired. The Lions beat the Vikings to ruin the Vikings' undefeated season.
I love that.
That's for you, Marisa.
Thank you.
And Bryce Young is back to being the starting quarterback for the Panthers, but they still lose to the Commanders.
I feel sad for Bryce Young. Like when I think about him, I feel sad.
His time's coming.
I hope
I believe in him.
Maybe his time came week 7. We'll see.
We'll check in.
You guys know, but we'll find out.
But as you may know, if you've been listening to the Tea Huddle, we've talked about this last week. We talk about this a lot. We love docu-series about football.
It's basically the only reason I'm a fan. Just like that was my in.
You really get to learn about the players on the field, off the field, everything we love to cover here.
Exactly.
And we've really been looking forward to the evolution of the Black quarterback on Amazon.
Yes, it's a 3-episode special on Amazon Prime, narrated by Michael Vick, and takes us through the history of influential Black quarterbacks, with Vick interviewing quarterbacks from the past and present to educate, illustrate, and celebrate Black quarterbacks' contributions to the sport and the position.
If you haven't watched it, we really recommend. There are some really interesting interviews. A lot of quarterbacks talk about their experience entering into the position that they have.
Interviews with Colin Kaepernick that I thought was really interesting and obviously had to be included.
And it all does lead up to the monumental 2023 NFL draft, where 3 Black quarterbacks were selected within the top 4 picks. So definitely some exciting progress being made. Those quarterbacks were Bryce Young, taken number 1, CJ Stroud, taken in the 2nd pick, and Anthony Richardson taken in the 4th pick. And then we know in the 2024 NFL draft, the first 2 picks were also Black quarterbacks. So let's keep the momentum going.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was really interesting was Dak Prescott talks about when he got drafted by the Cowboys, a player in the locker room was like, you're never going to last. Like, Dallas is never going to have a Black quarterback. And that was 2016, wasn't that long ago. There are still a ton of hurdles.
And even with what Colin Kaepernick went through in, what was that, 2015,
2016?
And he's still obviously not in the NFL, still blacklisted. So definitely some strides to make.
So I, before watching this, didn't know anything about Michael Vick except for the controversies. I didn't know that he was like an amazing player. I didn't know that he broke barriers. Like, I knew none of this.
And they do mention in the first episode of the docu-series, it does kick off kind of acknowledging that while Michael Vick did pave the way for a lot of these quarterbacks, it didn't come without some big mistakes on his end, which we have to cover.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to tea from the past. Michael Vick made history as the first Black quarterback drafted number 1 overall in the 2001 NFL draft to the Atlanta Falcons. During his 2nd season as quarterback, he made it to the NFC Divisional Round and Pro Bowl. had a great few seasons. And as discussed on a previous episode, in 2004, he was on the cover of the Madden game.
Where everything.
And that's where his luck started to turn. He broke his leg. He missed 11 games on the field. And off the field is a whole nother story.
Yeah. So important to include that he had a really tough upbringing, which obviously influenced his decision making, the people that he surrounded himself with. He was born to teen parents in Virginia. He grew up in the housing projects. Football lifted him out of that situation, but a lot of the people he surrounded himself with and the decisions he made reflected the tough past that he carried with him. So some of this off-field controversy starts in 2004. It's like a laundry list of little troubles here and there that accumulate in big troubles. So it starts 2004. 2 men were arrested in Virginia, where he was from, while he was in Atlanta for distributing marijuana. The truck they were driving was registered to Vic. So that was like the first sort of sign that, like, what are you involved with, you know?
Yeah. Who are you hanging with?
Yeah. Later the same year, he was in the Atlanta airport with some friends and employees, and one of them was caught on camera taking a watch that belonged to an airport security employee. A police report was filed, but allegedly the Falcons got involved, interfered with the investigation, and then the airport employee got his watch back 6 days later. So like Falcons were starting to clean up his messes. The next year in 2005, a woman filed a civil suit against Michael Vick, claiming that he knowingly gave her genital herpes. This is still happening in the league today with people like Xavier Howard.
That's what I was just thinking of.
The suit claimed that he visited clinics under the alias Ron Mexico to get treatments. So the reason that was included, the reason that was included was to prove like he knew he had this condition because he was getting treated for it. But in classic NFL fan behavior, on the NFL website, you can customize your own jersey. So people were getting Falcons jerseys with the number 7, which was his number, and instead of Vic on the back, they were getting the name Mexico.
Wow.
On the back, and the NFL had
no shame.
The NFL had to ban customizing jerseys with the name Mexico.
Well, that's good. They weren't just like after the money.
Yeah.
A big win for the NFL.
Yeah. True. Then in 2007 is when really everything came to a head. His cousin was being investigated for drug crimes, and this led to the discovery of evidence of unlawful dogfighting activities at a property owned by Vic. I feel like that's interesting that it was like one different investigation that led to the discovery. His dad also said publicly around this time that like this was something he was always into. He was like, that's just Mike. He like, this is his
into dog
He
fights.
goes, that's his thing. Yeah.
Again, if you grow up with that,
right. If that's like, yeah,
it's sick, but
yeah. So this then became both a federal and state investigation simultaneously that led to the discovery that this was an interstate dogfighting ring known as Bad News with a Z Kennels that involved drugs, gambling, and gruesome details that I'm going to spare you all of abuse, torture, and execution of multiple dogs. It honestly, like, I feel ill reading some of the specifics. He took a polygraph test during the investigation and said that he had no direct part in the execution of any of the dogs. He failed the polygraph test and then later recanted his story and admitted that he was involved directly in that aspect of it. He also, in addition to failing the polygraph, he failed a drug test when he was out on bail. So the judge was like, you're not taking this seriously. You're lying. You're like
doing drugs.
Yeah. And he was ultimately sentenced to serve 23 months in federal prison. He served 21 months of that. So he really, like, the thing that's different about this and a lot of the people on our list of enemies is, like, he really did serve his time.
He did serve his time.
Like
yeah.
he was found guilty of the crimes. He left the league for 21 months, served time in prison. And then the craziest part is he was back in the league right after that.
Yeah. So in 2007, once he was sentenced, Michael Vick was technically the first time offender of the league's personal conduct policy. So obviously he was suspended indefinitely.
It's hard to play while you're in prison.
Yeah. But as you just said, he does come back to the NFL. I read that Roger Goodell, I guess, got like some letters and had a lot of conversations from him about how guilty and how bad he felt and how he knew what he had done was reprehensible. And he was going to prove that he had changed. And so I guess that was good enough for Goodell and who other but Andy Reid to allow him to play for the Eagles once he was released from prison.
Andy Reid, the same coach who drafted Tyreek Hill after the other coaches decided that that's not someone that should be brought into the league.
Yeah, I'm sure this was a huge controversy of allowing him back after what had happened. And I'm sure no other coach or GM wanted anything to do with the publicity that this would cause. But good old Andy Reid, he didn't seem to mind. So Michael Vick got out of prison in 2009 and signed a 1-year contract with the Eagles under head coach Andy Reid. He played with them until 2013, and then he was traded to the Jets in 2014 and ultimately the Steelers in 2015.
Also worth noting that in 2011, so 2 years after he got out of prison, he lobbied for the Animal Fighting Spectator Prohibition Act, which established federal misdemeanor penalties for spectators of illegal animal fighting and made it a felony for adults to bring children to fights. Oh my God, people are bringing children to dog fights? What's going on? And then the law did pass in 2012. And so like maybe this is PR, maybe this is image rehabilitating, but also maybe he really changed. And like maybe he was a child that was brought to fights and thought.
Yeah, that's what he grew up with.
Yeah. So all to say, is he on the list? Is he not on the list? I sort of feel like he did his time. He is not on the list. What do you think? The list of enemies.
I don't think he's on the list as well just yet because he has proven that he acknowledges what he did was horrible.
Yeah.
And he's trying to change.
Yeah, like I said, the only thing I knew about him was dogfighting. And I had a pit bull growing up. So just like the thought that this breed is viewed in that way is so heartbreaking. So I was like, he's horrible, terrible.
Which what he did was all of those things.
But then watching this the evolution of the black quarterback, which he narrated and conducted all the interviews for, it is rare to really feel like you're seeing someone look inward on camera. And at least from this docu-series, it does seem like he has rehabilitated himself. He doesn't seem like a complete monster.
Yeah, they don't gloss over it. They acknowledge that things have happened.
But if there's one slip up, that man is on our list in bold, italics, highlighted, all caps.
We got our eye on you.
Exactly. But overall, we definitely recommend watching the show, The Evolution of the Black Quarterback, on Amazon Prime. 3 episodes.
The message and the history of it was very interesting. So
tell a friend.
Everyone check it out.
Yeah. So we obviously do not love those extracurriculars, but the next segment is all about some after-work activities we can support.
Here's a new segment called Wholesome Hobbies.
Yahtzee! Okay, what's our first?
A few people to run through and what they do off the field. I'll start with Kyler Murray, quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. His wholesome hobby is video gaming, being a gamer.
He's a gamer.
He just signed a partnership with Call of Duty, and they have a new version of the game coming out on October 25th.
Oh,
so
soon.
he's really capitalizing on this hobby of his.
Good for him.
But I think it's like when you talk about his personality, all you think about is gaming. There's not much else going on there.
I don't know anything else about him.
and it doesn't have the best reputation because of it. He's been slammed by players, analysts on how it impacts his performance. One analyst, Colin Coward from Fox Sports, he recently slammed the quarterback in his podcast, suggesting that he isn't more popular because of the huge stigma on gaming.
Okay, that's a little rude.
How GMs don't want to deal with gamers, and it's not like the right vision for their teams. And so he's been getting a lot of backlash for that comment.
Yeah, because they'll have like partiers and troublemakers and people out here giving people STDs knowing that they've got them and not telling anybody. God forbid you have a gamer on your team. Yeah,
they're saying that like, oh, he must be addicted. Like, this is an addiction. He's a gamer.
He can't stop.
Can't stop. Like, it's a slippery slope, this whole gaming thing. And I mean, maybe that's true to some degree. I do think that it's kind of like an older take on video games in this generation. But it must be somewhat of an issue because the Cardinals had to add a clause to his contract in 2022, a homework clause, as they call it, that says that Murray would not receive credit for his study time for like studying the film from like the previous week if he was distracted by the internet, TV, or video games. And then once that was in there, like internet sleuths were like calculating like, oh, this game was released this week. Kyler Murray only had this many points. Like, it's definitely impacting his playing. Which is just like people do something else with your time, but maybe they're onto something, and we'll find out when the new Call of Duty comes out.
Because the Cardinals are not doing well.
They're not doing that well.
So maybe he does need a little more study time.
And, they removed that clause, but maybe they should add it back depending on his performance on October 25th.
Similarly, Jamal Williams, running back on the Saints, he likes video games, but his real thing is anime and Pokemon.
All right.
Yeah, he's diehard. First of all, Jamal Williams, he's got to be in the running for just the cutest player. He, like, watch any videos of him. There's some amazing post-game interviews where it's just like, I think hard not to love this guy. He attended the Blurred panel at the Anime Expo this past summer. Blurred, which is Black Nerd.
Huh.
But his take on this was, he said, I don't really identify as a blurred, but I am a blurred. I would prefer us just to all be nerds in general. Black people who are nerds are just nerds too.
I respect that.
That's true.
Yeah.
But as he said, I don't identify as a blurred, but I am a blurred. That's a fun word to say. The first interview that I saw of him was like after the game when they're in their locker room, they're ready to go. He's being interviewed by a reporter and he goes, you guys are holding me right now. I just want to go home and play Pokemon. And the reporter's like, oh, something about Pokemon. And he goes, don't do that. It's Pokemon. Oh, it's pretty cute.
How do you like, this is dumb, but like, is Pokemon still with like the cards or is it like on a video game?
Your guess is as good as mine, Kelly. I would bet it's a card. It's both.
Yeah, they must have something. It must be like a little more high tech than
the cards. How do you even play the cards? I thought you just collect them.
Oh, you like fight each other.
Oh,
Charizard.
Yeah, exactly. Charizard.
First dugout.
He would. Yeah.
Dig in. I don't know.
There was Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff. Yeah,
a classic. So he does a lot of that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, these seem like harmless,
wholesome hobbies.
Wholesome hobbies. He had an incredible season in 2022. He actually broke Barry Sanders' long-held single-season touchdown record with 17 touchdowns in a season with the Lions, if you remember that game from
That was way before I watched football.
That was before you were an official fan of the Lions.
Go Lions, though. But I did find the post-game interview on the field where he is absolutely hysterical. It's so sweet. He had just lost his great-grandfather, I guess right before the game. And he talks about how this one's for you. And he was like overwhelmed with emotion. And then he just flips on a dime and he's like, but don't play us though. Like, he's like, don't let these tears fool you. It's cute. You should, everyone, your homework clause is to Google those 2 interviews from Jamal Williams. The one when he beat Barry Sanders' record and the one about Pokemon.
Yeah, as you said, the cutest player out there.
Yeah. Also, last thing on Jamal Williams is that he invited kids from the Sons of Saints anime club to the Saints week 1 game in New Orleans, and he met with them on the sidelines. And how sweet and cute is that?
Sharing the love with his fellow animators.
Yeah. In that game, so like the game starts with they're like, I'm Marissa and I went to this college. Like it goes through them and where they're from. And he introduced himself as J-Swag Kazikagi, leader of the hidden village of the Den.
Okay, that's over my head. That's got to be his username or something.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I like his enthusiasm.
J-Swag.
Yeah.
Another interesting hobby, maybe the most interesting hobby on this list, is Russell Wilson. He actually has his license to fly helicopters.
Oh.
Which is crazy. I don't know when he found the time to get that.
Yeah.
Busy off season. He started flying in 2016 when he was on the Seahawks, saying that it was a great way to get away from the game, from the paparazzi,
Yeah,
free his mind.
The ground.
From the ground.
Yeah.
He loved flying over the Pacific Northwest, seeing all the mountains, all the greenery, and would take his then fiance Sierra out on flights.
That's
a little
cute.
romantic date.
Yeah.
But then, of course, after the tragic death of Kobe Bryant and his daughter in 2020, he announced he was done with flying, and that was it.
Yeah, that's so sad.
It is extremely dangerous.
Yeah. I hope maybe he should get into gaming.
It's nice to get on the ground. Very safe.
Or some other thing like a virtual helicopter game. There's probably something like that.
Yeah. VR, virtual reality.
Yeah. Okay, you said that was the most interesting, but perhaps the most interesting hobby on the list. Justin Tucker. He's the kicker for the Ravens. Apparently, maybe he's the greatest kicker ever. He's like really good. The internet said. He's an opera singer.
Wow. Now
Yeah.
that's like a real talent.
That was good.
No offense to the others, but
Yeah. It's his hobby. He performs at occasional benefit concerts. I think it's like a party trick for him.
I mean, if you're born, I guess if you like have I feel like a natural skill.
Yeah. He discovered this skill. He said he majored in recording technology while he went to school at Texas. And one of the requirements was he had to take a voice lesson. And he said he fell in love with it. It's probably easy to fall in love with something that you're naturally gifted at. And he can sing in 7 different languages: English, Spanish, French, Italian, German, Latin, Russian.
Crazy. I guess that's opera for you.
Yeah. He studied under a legendary Russian opera singer, Nikita Storojev, while he was at Texas. Storojev passed away last year in 2023. But Tucker sings on.
I wonder if like there's anyone in his family who has done this too.
And he said he discovered it when he took that vocal lesson. Like, he never knew he could sing. Like, I know that I can't sing because when I sing along to the radio, I know it sounds bad. Like, did he know it sounded good?
I mean, opera is like a very specific way to sing.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not good. I wouldn't even dare try.
You'll never know.
But that is a very cool skill.
Yeah.
/ hobby.
Yeah.
And then last on this list, Michael Pittman Jr., receiver for the Colts. He is a big fisherman.
Oh.
Which makes sense. Off season, summertime. You have the ability to get out in nature. And
him and every guy on Hinge.
Yeah.
Like, when is everybody fishing? Everybody with all these pictures of fish. But
beautiful fish. He recently posted on Instagram that he claims he's the best fisherman in the whole NFL.
Okay, have you tested everybody in the NFL's fishing
this
abilities?
would be like a summer competition.
Yeah, tournament,
fishing tournament.
That would be cute.
I don't think I'd watch it, but
No, definitely not.
He typically fishes in Southern California area. He's into 200-pound tuna fish.
Oh,
which I can appreciate. I like tuna.
Mm-hmm.
He once caught one that sold for $50,000, so it is profitable.
What? This is more than a hobby.
Yeah.
$50K? I'm going to take up fishing.
Some good sushi out of that.
Yeah, definitely.
He also fly fishes for trout in the fresh waters of Indiana, where he lives.
Wow.
It's a family affair. He'll post pictures with his daughter and his wife and post on their joint YouTube account. So it's very sweet. But there's a few fishermen in the league. Randy Moss, retired NFL player. He's also a big fisherman. Pittman actually invited him to California to fish with him. It's a little bonding opportunity there. And then Justin Herbert also formed a fishing club when he was in high school. So
a fishing club.
There's some competition.
Yeah. I wonder if they want to challenge Michael Pittman Jr. for the title that he claimed for himself. It's nice to not just report on the trouble people are getting into on their free time, but like, you know, these other nice activities that they're filling their days with.
Yeah, there's more that happens off the field. I mean, we could go on and on about Travis's acting career. Okay, I guess that's becoming a hobby. Mm-hmm. But we will definitely keep investigating these players for fun side projects that they have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and thanks you guys for not getting into dog fighting. Fishing instead.
And that brings us to our final goss.
Final goss.
What do you have for us, Marissa?
I just realized as I was about to start that this is sort of like a dog-centric episode because our final goss today answers the question, did Haley Steinfeld and Josh Allen adopt a puppy? We're not sure is the answer to that question, but they did support one of Allen's teammates, wide receiver Khalil Shakir, and his wife Sailor Shakir at a pet adoption event they held recently in Buffalo. They made a rare public appearance showing that they're going strong. They're like a much quieter.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about them since the off season.
Like pop star actor quarterback couple. Not the Travis, the quarterback, but you know, star player, star gal couple. But yeah, they're still going strong. Haley did let us in a little bit last month. So her hobby is she has a lifestyle newsletter called Bow Society. Apparently. And last month in it, she wrote, football season is back, which means a few things. A, I get to watch my favorite person continue to make NFL history every week, go off 17. And B, we're just a few weeks away from drastic temperature drops where you'll find me drinking hot chocolate bundled in vintage Bills gear. Cute. Double shout out. And she calls him her favorite person.
Yeah. I mean, they've been together for a while now.
Yeah, definitely over a year. Because they got together last off season. So like probably a year and a half.
Yeah, definitely a little bit more low key than trailer.
Definitely. She also said in the same newsletter, that she was at a game and I spent most of the game thinking about how lucky I am to get a front row seat to the magic that is JA-17, the entire Bills team and the stadium energy. The people who make up Bills Mafia are second to none.
That's sweet. Supportive girlfriend.
Yeah, I like it. And there have been a lot of pictures of her lately in Bills gear. With him, they went Instagram official with pictures from Paris in the off season. Yes. So more low key, but
she probably should stop talking about the temperature drops because it's about to get real cold up there in Buffalo for that California girl.
Yeah, she's got to wear like eight Bills sweatshirts to stay warm.
But you don't know if they got the dog.
I don't know if they got the dog, but they took pictures with dogs. Well, so we do know that they each have dogs. She has 2 dogs and he has 1 dog. The question is, did they get a dog together? I'll let you guys know as soon as I know. But it sounds like are trusted, supportive pet owners. So we would endorse them getting a dog.
We're ending this.
Yeah. We've come full circle.
Episode with a good dog story. Well, that's it for this episode of the Tea Huddle.
Thanks for tuning in for our little bye week.
It's been fun. We'll be back swinging next week. I'm excited to check in on my predictions that I made at the beginning of the episode.
Definitely. And we'll have 2 weeks of gossip to catch up on, not just 1. So I feel like maybe it'll be jam-packed.
I'm excited. But until then, stay juicy.